Hello, everyone, and welcome to another special edition of The Danny Show. I'm your host, Daniel Cody, giving you commentary and reviews on all things wrestling. Thank you guys so much for joining us, and let's get started with today's special review. The reason I am here is because I would like to take this moment to give you guys my top 10 favorite matches to take place in the continent of Europe. Before I get started with that, let me just say the European crowds are awesome. Their fans are very great. American crowds are great, but some of the European crowds are awesome. But let's talk about my top 10 favorite European matches. Let's start. We're going to start off with number 10. It's one of the original matches from One Night Only, 97. This match was Bret the Hitman Hart versus The Undertaker for the WWE Championship One Night Only 97, a rematch from SummerSlam 97, where Shawn Michaels accidentally screwed The Undertaker out of the WWE Championship. So after Ground Zero, and we all saw, if you have Tombstone history of The Undertaker, which I do, you saw how that worked out. And if you go to the extras of Undertaker's This One, you will find this match. It was pretty good to me. It seemed like the crowd, it was 50-50. For the most part, the crowd seemed behind The Undertaker, but then as time progressed, they would go towards Bret Hart because, fun fact, in the late 90s in WWE, the non-American countries showed more love to Bret than the US crowd. So in the US, after WrestleMania 13, he was a heel. But even after that, he would be fan favorite everywhere else, including Canada and UK. However, as great as this match was, it did not get a conclusion that we wanted, a decisive conclusion, whereas The Undertaker lost by disqualification, and the announcer ran for his life after announcing such. We stay with Bret Hart at number 9. We have Bret Hart versus the British Bulldog at SummerSlam 1992, live from London in what I believe was Wembley Stadium, where AEW usually goes. This was a family affair. You had British Bulldog being a sibling of Bret Hart's now wife, then wife at the time. I think that was his wife. I know there was a lot of relations, bottom line, and even with all the relations going on, they were family members. However, this did not stop them from having an incredible match and an incredible fight for the Intercontinental Championship. And the Intercontinental Championship would end up being the main event of that night. Usually you would expect the WWE Championship to be the main event of a show, which they mistakenly did in SummerSlam 95, but the Intercontinental Championship was the main event match, as 1995 should have been. However, this match was also awesome, and it stole the show, with British Bulldog being the winner and Intercontinental Champion. Bret Hart and the family would show great sportsmanship, Bret Hart and Bulldog, after Bulldog won the championship. WWE would not have a premium live event like this at UK for almost 30 years. Even though they had Insurrection, they had Rebellion, they would not host a major crowd record-setting event like this for 30 years. 30 years later, on this list at number 8, we would have Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre for the WWE Undisputed Championship in the main event of Clash at the Castle 22. Of course, with it being European country and Scotland being in the continent of Europe, everyone was behind Drew McIntyre. And we also appreciated that Drew McIntyre brought back his original theme for 5 minutes before using his current one. It was a great match. It was so great we saw Drew McIntyre kick out of spears. He even went for a spear of his own. There were times where we thought Austin Theory was going to cash in until Tyson Fury knocked him out. Now, Drew was about to go for the finish. This would be the night we would see the introduction of the main roster of Solo Sikoa, who, thanks to his help, would help Roman Reigns retain the WWE Undisputed Championship. Thankfully, even though Drew was upset, and this would help the chip on Drew's shoulder that he has even now, kayfabe speaking, Tyson Fury came, shook Roman's hand, and sung with Drew McIntyre to cheer him up. And if you notice, there is a fan in the audience who is a better father than Chris Benoit. Next on this list, we keep talking about Roman. At number 7, we have the Usos versus Roman and Solo Sikoa at Money in the Bank 2023. This was an awesome Civil War tag team match involving all Bloodline members. This was the match where the unthinkable happened. And I will be perfectly honest with you, I had the pleasure of reviewing this, but this was the night where we saw the unexpected and the unthinkable. This would be the night where Roman Reigns would be pinned for the first time by none other than future world champion and the leader of the Yeet Party, Jey Uso. Yeet. Now, going forward to number 6, we have Randy Orton versus Gunther at Bash in Berlin 2024 of last year. Let me just say the crowd was awesome for this match. The match started off with a lot of technical skills on displays. In the end, announce tables were broken. Gunther had kicked out of an RKO. Randy Orton kicked out of a splash and a powerbomb to a bad back that Randy had at the time. Nonetheless, it was a sleeper hold from Gunther, who would cause Randy Orton to pass out because the Viper would not tap out, for Randy Orton to lose this match and Gunther retained the World Heavyweight Championship. And this match had a decisive winner. Both men were fan favorites, by the way. Ludwig Kaiser, who, by the way, is the masked luchador, would announce Gunther in what is close to his home country. Of course, in the end, it was Gunther who would win this match and retain the World Championship without any controversy, unlike King of the Ring. Next on this list, at number 5, we have Shawn Michaels versus John Cena on an episode of Monday Night Raw, April 23rd, 2007. I gotta be honest with you. There's nothing worse than losing, even though it's a non-title match, there's nothing worse than losing on your birthday. Unfortunately, John Cena did that in a non-title match versus Shawn Michaels, a match that took up half of Monday Night Raw, and it was good. John Cena and Shawn Michaels really went at it, and it was a good match. Sadly for Cena, as I mentioned, he lost. On his birthday, may I add. But nonetheless, Shawn Michaels was resilient, overcoming the attitude adjustment, which by then was known as something else. However, it was Shawn Michaels' night, bottom line. And the UK crowd actually liked him. One of the last times Shawn Michaels was a performer there 10 years prior, they halfway hated him. But that was because he was fighting British Bulldog. Now they loved him in 2007. Next on this list at number 4, we go back to Walter, aka Gunther, versus Ilya Dragunov on an episode of NXT UK, October the 30th. Man, when I think of Gunther, I think of something called, I like to call this the Red Chest Diaries. The one diary where there is nothing erotic about this. There's nothing erotic about Gunther's Red Chest Diaries. It is just brutality. Bruises, welts, and brutality. Chop fests everywhere. Speaking of chop fest, it makes me wonder. Well, I'll ask you guys this question another time. But nonetheless, this match between Gunther and Dragunov was awesome, and it was very intense. The match was for the NXT UK Championship. Walter was in the middle of what would become his longest running time as champion, and Gunther has spent a lot of time in WWE as champion. So this match was very intense. In fact, it would be won by Walter before he was now known as Gunther, and he would retain his NXT UK Championship in one of the top matches of 2020 next to Edge versus Randy Orton. Next on this list, we're going to stay with Gunther because we go to Gunther versus Sheamus, another intense one at Clash at Castle 2022. This night would see the reuniting of Imperiums, 3/4 of Imperium rather. This would also be the night that they would go face to face with some of the Brawling Brute members, and then Gunther and Sheamus went at it. Sheamus, I hope Sheamus wins the Intercontinental Championship before retiring. But if you have not watched this match, please watch this. It is awesome. They did not disappoint at all. It was almost WrestleMania worthy, and it was a part of a WrestleMania crowd because the Clash at Castle in Cardiff, that was a huge crowd. And Bret Hart was there to witness it all. But this match was awesome. Again, if you have not seen this match for the Intercontinental Championship as Gunther retains in a hard-fought match, please check it out. Next at number 2, we have Cody Rhodes versus AJ Styles. Cody Rhodes, the WWE Champion. That's why I have that championship on him. Cody Rhodes versus AJ Styles for the WWE Championship. Styles' first defense as champion at Backlash in France 2024 of last year. The crowd was awesome. The match was awesome. AJ Styles, his attire almost looked like New Generation Undertaker. But nonetheless, this match was great. I don't know what's greater, the match itself or the crowd. But I guess the match and the crowd made this match extra special. And if you have not seen that one, be sure to check it out, as Cody Rhodes has his first successful defense as WWE Champion in a 5-star classic with the phenomenal one in France, where WWE will be this Sunday. Next at number 1. Before I get to number 1, here are a couple of honorable mentions. We have Undertaker versus Triple H Insurrection 2002. That's one of the honorable mentions at this time. Now, let's get to and British Bulldog versus Owen Hart in 1997. Now, with that being said, let's get to number 1. Number 1 on this list, we have Walter, now known as Gunther, versus Tyler Bate at NXT UK Cardiff 19. This was long before Gunther dropped the few pounds that he did, although he did not look too bad back then. But on paper, that match should have been a mismatch. However, if you watch this nearly 45-minute plus match, Tyler Bate proved why he was the big strong boy. The way he picked up Gunther in certain times during the match, even going for a helicopter spin, that was awesome. He showed off his strength. He was very resilient. Of course, we found out why I call Gunther's story the Red Chest Diaries. Non-erotic. Nonetheless, this match was for the NXT UK Championship. Walter was in the middle of what would become the longest reigning NXT UK Championship next to Pete Dunne. If you have not seen it, be sure to check it out, because this match is one of the best NXT UK matches you'll ever find. That's this list. Let me know in the comments below what you think about that episode. What do you think about this review? What was your favorite European match in WWE? Let me know in the comments. That's all the time I have for you today. I'll be back with another review on all things wrestling. Peace out, everyone.